So they said, he said they taught them the law. I said, right. I said, now, it wasn't that they didn't know the law. They just weren't doing it. Okay? Now, the whole reason I'm bringing all of you this, check this out. The brother been calling about the last 3 more months, maybe a little longer. YHWH, when we coming out? When we coming out? I said, hey, bro, I'm waiting on y'all. I said, because the Edomites got to get judged before the elite come and get the movement of Yah. You understand? And take it back. That's 52 Yeshai, right? That's the consecration and anointing of Yah in the sight of everybody on the earth. Everybody on the earth has to witness when Yah brings again Zion, when he returns to Jerusalem. Again, that's the back end of 61 Yeshai, when he causes righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations. You follow me? Now, he's been asking, different times, when we going back? So he's the one who brought me about this oil, 50 million barrels in November. America used of the reserve. Now they're using 180 million, which will end in the end of September, 6 months supply. So we was talking. So I said, okay, so that's going to leave 520 million. So at 150 million clip, you understand, 6 months, what, maybe 3 years tops? Not even 3, about 2.5 years. Matter of fact, about 2 years, two and a half years, let's say. 2.5 years tops. That's what they got left in reserve. So he was like, yeah, so maybe we'd be ready, because he'd been saying to me, I'm ready to leave, yo. I'm ready to get out of here. I said, I hear you, bro, so am I, but we got to wait on Yah, right? Okay. Now, when we was talking here the other week on the Sabbath, he called, we talking. So in the midst comes, he said, well, YHWH, look. He said, I got to go because I got to take my son somewhere. And I'm like, okay. So, to be continued, hung up. So I'm thinking, so when he called here last Thursday, I brought this to him, just like I'm bringing it to all of you. And he said, YHWH, when I said, you talking about you ready to go. I said, but you took your son somewhere on the Sabbath. You left out on the Sabbath, so you ain't doing the Sabbath. Then he reminded me, which I had totally forgot, because I ain't hanging on to, a lot of junk, right? He said, YHWH, this is what we used to have these conversations and get into a vehement conversation. I said, well, you must have had the vehement side. I wasn't, because I don't remember, but you telling me it's kind of coming back. He said, yeah, we wasn't in agreement on the Sabbath. He said, you can't do the Sabbath in captivity. And then he said, then he went to Daniel chapter 10. He said to me, Daniel wasn't doing the Passover. I said, what make you say that? So he went to chapter 10, Daniel, right? And he said, you see what it say there in the first month, 24th day of the month, Daniel said he wasn't eating, he was afflicting his soul for 3-4 weeks. So I'm like, okay. So now you looking at it, what? That he hadn't been eating, he had done this prior to the first month, the 24th day of the month. Well, maybe he did it before Passover began, because he's saying Daniel he didn't recognize the Passover. I said, well, I don't see that. I said, that's how you interpreting that, okay? But he's telling us, if he's telling us this has already happened, possibly, without a doubt, this happened prior to recognition of Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Now, it could have happened, because we know, as I said to all of you earlier, my guy down there in Georgia, when he called you like you, he called me Israel. He said, Israel, about the Passover. So I was telling him, so I said, you got to eat some lamb. And I forgot, that he's vegetarian. He said, Israel, I'm a vegetarian. I said, brother. Then I remember, I said, I told you this a couple years ago. You going to have to eat some lamb on the Passover. Now, you ain't got to eat no flesh no other time, but you got to eat some lamb on Passover. You understand what I'm saying? Even if it's a mouthful, you got to eat some lamb. Now, you follow me? With some unleavened bread and some bitter herbs. Now, that's Passover. See, that's right there what kills being a vegetarian. How people are interpreting Genesis chapter 1, talking about, you understand, that's saying we supposed to be vegans. We was vegans at first. Again, Malachi 3:6, Yah does not change. We never were supposed to be vegans. Okay? It's just that simple. And that allays that, right? That knocks that out right there. Now, if you want to be a vegetarian, that's up to you. But if you about Yah with all your heart and soul, you ain't going to be no vegetarian 365 days out the year. You can be one 364 or 66 in leap year, but one day out the year, you're going to eat some lamb, and that's on Passover. Simple as that. If you, stand in submission and fear Yah and in harmony with Yah. There's no way to get around that, right? Now, with this brother, I said, hey, he's telling us what has already happened. Okay, that don't mean he didn't deal with Passover. And again, if it happened, and he's telling us, and he was actually in it then, in the first month of the year on the 24th day, then it's a good possibility he had started afflicting his soul. This didn't happen until the 16th day of the month. You follow me? Because we do know he says he ate no pleasant bread. And we know on Feast of Unleavened Bread that starts, Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread start at the same time on the 15th day of the first month. But now, after you eat that initial lamb, I mean, that's it for the Passover lamb, right? Because you can't even have none of that left over. All that you don't eat, you got to burn that with fire before the morning, right? Now, which again indicates that they came out at night, right? But again, right, you got to eat some unleavened bread, at least a mouthful of unleavened bread for the next 6 days, right? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Now, we know that Daniel says in chapter 10, he ate no pleasant bread. So therefore, it could very well be, you understand? He did the Passover. He didn't start afflicting his soul till the 16th day. So possibly this is the 8th day. He's eating some unleavened bread, but it wasn't pleasant to him. But he eating that because it's the Feast of Unleavened Bread. It could be that. You follow me? See? Now we started off talking about the Sabbath. He wasn't doing the Sabbath. He went to Daniel talking about Daniel didn't do Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread. But that's how you interpreted that. That don't mean that. That ain't saying that. See how people look for something? Because I said to him when we was talking, I said, you understand? So you picking and choosing? We told in Deuteronomy 4, we're not supposed to add nor diminish. You can't pick and choose what you're going to do with this law. It's all or nothing at all. So then he said, well, we sacrifice. I said, we ain't supposed to do no animal sacrifice. That's for the temple. That's talked about in Yeshaya chapter 66. Is it not? He's not accepting any animal sacrifices. And the Passover lamb is not a sacrifice. That's memorialization in recognition to Yah bringing our forefathers out of Egypt. See? And you understand, don't tell me we ain't supposed to do it in the wilderness where we are today, because we in the wilderness of the people now. You follow me? You understand? And our forefathers we see over there in Exodus, Yah told them in the 2nd year in the wilderness, right? First month, do that Passover. So they recognized the Passover in the wilderness every year for them 40 years they was in the wilderness. We got to recognize Passover. We got to recognize the laws and statutes, ordinances, judgments, commandments of Yah. We got to do the Sabbath day. I brought to them, what did Yah say over there in Exodus 16, 27 to 30? When some of them went out, after they had been brought out of Egypt, they in the wilderness, and some of them went out on the Sabbath day looking for the mountain. And he said to Moshe, how long they going to not, keep my commandments? And what did Moshe tell them? You understand? Everybody, you understand? You're supposed to, be in your dwelling place. Let no one leave their dwelling place on the Sabbath day. And again, that's the 24-hour day. Every 24 hours starts at dark and ends with dark. Go to Genesis chapter 1. Dark night preceded morning light. The dark night, the morning light, day 1. The dark night, morning light, day 2. Dark is before light in a 24-hour day. We've done talked about this in the past, have we not? So you got to do the Sabbath day. So now I said to him, just like what you brought about these priests, when you said the priests, they wasn't about the law. That's why they got carried away. It wasn't that they didn't know the law. They just wasn't doing it. Just like you. It's not that you don't know the law. You ain't doing it. Then he said, well, you know, I was doing the Sabbath for 10 years. You understand? I said, yeah. And then his voice trailed off. But I said, but you stopped. After 10 years, then you stopped. He didn't tell me why, and I didn't ask him. But you stopped. I don't know why, but you stopped. But you was doing it for 10 years. See? But you chose to stop. That's what I told him. And he didn't tell me why. And I didn't ask him. So I said, but we got to do this law, my man. Deuteronomy 30 verse 2, it say A-L-L. Malachi 3:6, y'all don't change. And I quoted to him 42, the back end of 42, Yeshaya. We got kicked out of the land, our forefathers, because they would not do the law. Isn't that what it says there? We only get back into the land by doing the law, with Yah. That's how we go back to the land, with Yah on the head of us, and he at our rearward. That's why them monarchies, these monarchies, they had to be sprinkled, because they gonna come. They listening, they watching. Y'all shaping and molding them. Didn't I just read that in the 41st chapter, Yeshaya? Just like he's shaping and molding us. Just like he prepared YHWH. He had him thrown in the hole, humbled. He had him sold down into Egypt, humbled. Then, you understand, he stayed with Yah. Yah rose him up in the house of the Egyptian, right? He running his whole household. He being taken out. Then Yah humbled him again, brought him down again, humbled him some more. You understand what I mean? In other words, impressing upon YHWH. You understand? You don't ever leave me. You don't ever get out of pocket. You don't never not understand why this is happening to you, because you're staying with me. You're in harmony with the law. Isn't that what he told the Egyptian's wife? I sin against Yah, but I ain't doing this. Isn't that right? He's preparing YHWH for the time to come. So that when YHWH was lifted up at 30 years old, set up over Egypt, running Egypt, only answerable to Pharaoh. He had one wife. Isn't that right? And he didn't get out of pocket. He didn't get out of place. He understood. What he tell his brothers when he revealed themselves to him? Don't be afraid. This was from Yah. So that we would have a posterity. We wouldn't become impoverished. This is from Yah. Had to reassure him again after Yisrael died. Isn't that not right? Chapter 50, Genesis. And as some people said to me, they lied. They lied. This person told me they lied to him, saying, you know, Yaakov, you know, Yisrael, you understand, told him to treat him nice. You know what I mean? Okay, but I don't know if that's true or not, but the point being is they like, you know, Israel, our father don't want you to treat us bad. Now, y'all say that to reassure him again. You understand? Hey, I told you before, this was from Yah. He understood it perfectly. He didn't get hubris. He didn't get prideful. He didn't get arrogant. Right? He walked with Yah humbly. Right? In humility. In meekness, but not weakness. With total understanding. No emotions, right? In that sense, right? We see they are emotional. They cried on each other, right? When Israel was brought to him, because that's what broke him down through the exhortation of YHWH, was it not? When YHWH stood up and said, my Lord, because he didn't know it's YHWH yet, right? My Lord, listen, take me as your bondman. Don't take our youngest brother. Our father's life is bound up in his life because his older brother by their mother is not. So take me. I swore to my father that if he didn't come back, I wouldn't come back. So take me. I'll be your bondman. But let my younger brother go back with his brothers to our father, unless you bring our father's whole head down to the grave in sorrow. That's what broke YHWH down, is it not? So we have emotion. We human beings. That's automatic. But we cannot allow emotions to dictate judgment, to dictate our actions, like we see with Will Smith. Because when you do that, you messed up. You're going to mess up. Simple as that. We've got a law. The law is unmovable. It's unchangeable. Malachi 3:6. Yah does not change. And his laws, statutes, orders, judgments, commandments, and precepts do not change. And we got to do them all or nothing at all. Okay? Now again, Chicago Tribune, April the 5th. The UN, this is out of the UN. Earth on track to being unlivable. It is Earth on track to being unlivable. Climate scientists warn of inaction, but note some progress. There ain't no progress till they turn to Yah. The progress is only those of us who turn to Yah. And they're going to have to do the same thing. And if they don't, they're going to be destroyed. Just that simple. Okay? This is Yah. Chicago Tribune. Okay? April the 5th, 2022. Greece pays off IMF loans early. You hear that? Okay? Greece pays off IMF loans early, right? Greece has repaid its outstanding debts dating back to its financial crisis to the International Monetary Fund, or as some call it, like Jerusalem, the International Mafia. Okay? 2 years ahead of schedule, right? You follow me? Greece European Union bailout lenders gave the formal go-ahead last week for the early repayment of the outstanding loans worth $2 billion. Now that's what the illuminated Edomite does. Okay? You understand? Said their approval was needed as the initial requirement was for early IMF repayments to be made in parallel with those made to European lenders. See how they tie all them up, hook them all up where, you understand, the men got them all burdened with the other. Again, you know, like sureties and whatnot. 3 successive bailouts totaling some $285 billion between 2010 and 2018 prevented Greece from going bankrupt. Now, again, so you understand when they say outstanding loans worth $2 billion, if they loan Greece $285 billion, that means they had to get back more. The Greece had to pay them off them $285 billion plus interest. See, you got, when you reading this, you know, they make it like they only had to pay the bankers $2 billion. But if the bankers loaned them $285 billion, the Greeks had to pay that back and interest. That's how it works. That's how Esau operates. Okay? You follow me? And that's Dracu, sticking their teeth in a nation's veins to suck out their life blood, which is economics, assets, natural resources. Okay? That's how America has become the monster of Dr. Frankenstein, has become great, sucking the natural resources up and assets of other nations. See, now that has come to an end. We've been talking about this for years, where we're there now. Okay? We're there. Now you're starting to see inflation. Okay? Chicago Tribune, April 5th. Trade group urges Treasury to help with U.S. coin shortages. Okay? Again, they're hastening that, bringing that on to take America into cryptocurrency. And they want to take the world into it because, I mean, that's, you can just come up with some kind of figures infinitum. It's all in the air. The people don't have anything tangible, right? So, again, this is, we're coming out. Yah righteous coming out. Those whose heart is circumcised, the foreskin of their heart, to Yah of hosts, with all their heart and all their soul, in compliance, submission, obeyance to Yah's laws, statutes, orders, judgments, commandments, and precepts, with all our heart and soul, and every fiber of our being, Yah is preparing us. Wherever we are on the face of the earth, He's preparing us. Not only Israelites, but any others of nationalities who are going to cleave to His honor. To Yah, our righteousness, the King, His movement. He's preparing us to bring us back. But rebels and transgressors And that's what I said to the brother. You understand? Ezekiel 20, verse 38. Rebels and transgressors not at the chokehold. The economic, environmental, ecological collapse is setting in more and more and more. That chokehold is getting tighter around the people of the earth's neck. You're going to have plenty of people going to want to go back with the arm of Yah. But Yah's not going to allow them to come back with him. Why? Because they rebels and transgressors. Because they picking and choosing of what they going to do with Yah's law. For Yah righteousness, Jerusalem, and the Holy See. Q&A to follow. Y'all bless everybody. Peace.